Greetings, one and all. Scoring in the NHL saw a 12.4% rise over the first few months of the current NHL season, with there being an average of 6.1 goals scored per game during those early months. This increase is expected to remain at a similar level for the rest of the season compared to the rate over the full 2016/17 season. Whilst the level of scoring has fluctuated over the past few seasons, and the league has continued to try and find ways to increase scoring even more, there was once a time when an average of 6 goals a game was a cherished but distant memory. To those of you who, like myself, started following the NHL within the last 10 years or so, the phrase dead puck era might not mean much to you, if anything at all. Unless you have taken the time to look deeper into the league's history and how the league has adapted and changed as the time has passed, you probably won't understand what the dead puck era is or why it is often brought up in hockey conversation nowadays, especially when it's used as a comparative tool to discuss scoring levels of today's NHL. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have been a good boy this year, Santa said so himself, and I have done the work for you, as in this video I answer the question: what was the dead puck era? The dead puck era began after the 1994/95 lockout, with its end commonly cited as the 2004/05 lockout, and the era gained its name due to the lack of scoring compared to the previous years in the league. The 94/95 lockout saw the regular season reduced from the proposed 84 games to just 48 games due to the lack of a collective bargaining agreement at the proposed start of the season. Following the 94/95 lockout, the NHL entered a prolonged period of offensive decline never quite seen before on such a scale since the league's inception. What was once an average of 7.6 goals a game during the high-scoring and high-flying decade of the 1980s dropped to below 6 goals a game before the 94/95 lockout. It was just down to 5.19 by the 98/99 season and dropped to just over 5 by the year 2004. So what caused the dead puck era to take effect? And why did the average score in each NHL game drop so noticeably after the 94/95 lockout? Well, one theory suggests that the drop in offense was due to the new franchises that joined the NHL during the 1990s. The San Jose Sharks, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Ottawa Senators, the Anaheim Ducks, the Florida Panthers, the Nashville Predators, and the Atlanta Thrashers all joined the National Hockey League during the 1990s via expansion, meaning that a whole host of players that weren't quite good enough to make the already well-established NHL rosters were now getting the chance to play consistently in the NHL with one of these new teams, meaning that the overall talent of the league was diluted down to accommodate these new teams building rosters with primarily mediocre or subpar players. And of course, worse players means worse goal scorers means less goals, and less goals in every game means that the average goals a game goes down. This theory was heavily endorsed by former NHLer and Hockey Hall of Famer Brett Hull, who felt that this rapid expansion was hurting the league a little bit too much and making it so scoring was becoming more of a commodity to enjoy when it arrived, rather than a necessity to win a hockey game. However, the most common, the most popular, and the most obvious theory for the reduction of scoring and the cause of the dead puck era was the increased use of the neutral zone trap. The neutral zone trap is a defensive strategy used to prevent an opposing team from proceeding through the neutral zone to force a turnover of the puck. The most recognisable implementation of the trap sees the defence stationing 4 of their players in the neutral zone and 1 forechecker in the offensive zone. As the offensive team starts to move up the ice, the forechecker, generally a centre, will cut off passing lanes to other offensive players by staying in the middle of the ice, forcing the puck carrier to either sideboard. The defensive wingers, typically placed on or near the red line, will be positioned by the boards to challenge the puck carrier, prevent passing, or even keep opponents from moving through. The 2 defensemen who are positioned on or near the blue lines are the last defence, obviously, and must stall the opposition long enough for the wingers to reset themselves and continue the trap. The trap was innovated by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 1920s and 30s, but became the strategy of choice by most coaches during the late 90s and early 2000s. Pretty much the same span as the dead puck era lasted. Coincidence? I think not. The strategy became popular due to the success seen by the New Jersey Devils, who implemented the technique under the coaching of Jacques Lemaire, who led the team to 3 Stanley Cup victories in 1995, 2000 and 2003 using the neutral zone trap technique to limit chances from opposing teams. Whilst the trap brought success to certain teams in the NHL during its heyday, the trap was heavily criticised at the time and has been ever since for reducing scoring in the National Hockey League. The problem was that although it did reduce scoring, it was an effective strategy that worked really well, as teams never quite figured out how to stop the strategy. Case in point, the New Jersey Devils and their 3 Stanley Cups. The trap was so effective that in order to combat its success and to dissuade other teams from using the strategy, and thus increasing scoring in the league again, the NHL changed the rules during the 04-05 lockout, so all obstruction penalties were to be called regardless of circumstance, and the removal of the 2-line pass rule was made in order to open up the game and increase scoring, whilst decreasing the effectiveness of the neutral zone trap. These changes to the rules during the 04-05 lockout helped give teams a better chance of beating the neutral zone trap, which meant that more opportunities were finding their way past the trap and to the net, meaning more goals were being scored again, which meant that the average goals a game were increasing once again. What had started after the 94-95 lockout was resolved roughly 10 years later before the next lockout, and with improved scoring, thus brought an end to the low-scoring dead puck era. And there you go! That was an exploration into what the dead puck era really was and why it was given that name. What do you think about the dead puck era? Was it good, bad, or do you enjoy more goals every game? I know I do. Let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye!